Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Criminal Introduction to Criminal Justice. This is the online version of this course. In this video, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking to you about the course syllabus, about navigating in Blackboard, the expectations of you for the course, and kind of get you ready to take our introductory quiz, of which you'll have to make 100% on to move on to the first chapter of this course. So pay attention as we're speaking. I'm going to go with the assumption that you know how to log into Blackboard and how to use Respondus Lockdown Browser, as these are things that you should have gotten in the introduction orientation to the online courses here at the college. If you took it long ago enough, maybe you don't have the Respondus Lockdown Browser. I do have a video that will be found on this the same folder as this video that will show you how to use Respondus Lockdown Browser, so you can watch that. Let me get out of the way and we'll talk a little bit about the course setup. First, when you log into the course, you should be launched to this dashboard page. On this page, really the big thing that you're going to look for is the announcements. I will have class announcements here. Each week you should have an announcement telling you what's due this week. The to-do list and so forth over here with due dates is not going to be a viable option in this course because of the fact is I allow you to work ahead, and I've got things set up so that you've got to complete one task to go to the next one. That doesn't really work out too well if you use Blackboard's due dates. So I've kind of eliminated all those. Each week though, you will get an email telling you, and then also a weekly update video telling you what we need to do this week and so on. The other thing the next thing we're going to look at, and to navigate, you have all these navigations. Let me click into the student mode so you just get what you've got and not what I've got. The next menu item to look at is the Start Here. That's where we've got, I've got a link to my grades, another link to the announcements that if you can click on to go to the announcements. And then I've got the syllabus that we're going to go over real quick. We're going to look at, kind of mainly look at things that are a little different in mine than the others, little key points there. A lot of it's standard information. I'll mention, the title headings, but I'll expect you to read them on your own. Also on this section, I've got a course schedule. This is subject to change, but it doesn't change too often in the online courses because even when the campus is shut down, we might get some ice on the highway that shuts down I-35, but it doesn't usually shut down the information highway, so you should be able to keep up with those dates. We did have some issues after Harvey and so forth that we kind of delayed things even in the online courses. So again, it's subject to change, but we'll let you know of any changes. That's how you get the announcements. You'll have my office hours. This is the tentative hours. Kind of depends on which courses make and so forth. And this will change from semester to semester. And then there will be a link to the textbook. Will also be available by checking with the bookstore and some other methods of getting it. You get a hard copy or a digital version. Personally, I would prefer the digital version because they are searchable. So now let's go back to the syllabus and actually look at the particulars on it. First, the syllabus, and okay, there it goes. I gotta move myself out of the way so I can make this bigger. First, the syllabus is going to have my name on it and so forth, the kind of standard information, the course number. And then I start with a note above the syllabus. This is not a self-paced course. You will be allowed to work ahead. As a matter of fact, if you want to complete the entire course in 1 week, good luck with that, but you could do it. You probably wouldn't be able to sleep for the week, but you could easily fulfill it in a 3 or 4 week time if you put a lot of effort into it. Everything except for the follow-up post, and you just have to go back and do follow-up posts to discussions in order to complete the course. I don't suggest that, but again, some people have various schedules, so maybe if you're working a 7-day shift where you're working every day, you can't do much that week, but the previous week you have a long change and you'll be able to work maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead on that. So that's why that's set up. The thing is, there are still very hard course deadlines, and missing deadlines would be similar to missing class. In fact, that's it does go. That's how we log your attendance, and is whether or not you've completed various tasks by their deadline. We'll kind of go over those when we go into the weekly content. The other thing about this course is majors exam must be taken in a proctored setting that you can do at your home using Respondus Lockdown or anywhere where you have a computer with Respondus Lockdown browser. Not suggesting you take them in a public restaurant or anything like that. It's got to be a kind of a quiet place because you do have to have a webcam and microphone. Or you can take it at the testing center here on campus or in one of our testing rooms here in criminal justice. But to do either one of those, you do have to let me know in advance that you want to take it on campus, and I'll have to make arrangements, again, either at the testing center or here. Next thing in the syllabus is communicating with your instructor. The best way to get a hold of me is send me an email. In your email, it is very important that you tell me which course you're in. I'm teaching 6 courses most semesters, sometimes 7. I also get email from academy students. And I have to actually pull up a database to figure out which course you're in quite often. I don't necessarily recognize what name goes with what course. So tell me what course you're in, and then what you're asking about, what chapter you're asking about, what exam you're asking about, something of that name. Sure, put that in your title. That is, again, the preferred method. You can call me at the at my the office number of 281-756-3779. If I'm in the office, I will answer you. Particularly best. Again, the email is a much better method because there's kind of a record of it, particularly if it has to do with grades or something of that sort. When you communicate with me, when you send me an email, you must do it from your college email account, not your personal account. If you send me an email from your personal account and I catch it that it's from your email account, sometimes I don't, I'll just simply send you an email back acknowledging that I received an email from you and telling you that you'll have to resend it from your college account. The FERPA rules don't allow us to communicate with people through accounts that we don't know are the actual students. So that's the reason for it. It's a college policy. So kind of be sure you do that. See, course description. This course provides a historical and philosophical overview of the American criminal justice system, including the nature, extent, and impact of crime, criminal law, and justice agencies and process. We look at all 3 branches of the criminal justice system, from law enforcement, which includes police and investigators and federal agents and so forth. We look at the courts, and how they work, and then finally we look at corrections, probations, prisons, and so forth. The learning objectives: upon successful completion of this course, students will be able to describe the history and philosophy of the American criminal justice system, explain the nature and extent of crime in America, analyze the impact and consequences of crime, evaluate the development and concepts and functions of law in the criminal justice system, and describe the structure of contemporary federal, state, and local justice agencies and process. There are no prerequisites or co-requisites for the course. We already talked about the required textbook. Again, you can go to the bookstore and get them. You can lease them. You can get a digital version for a particular period of time and so forth. So there are many different methods. Then I've got the course outline in here. The one in the syllabus is, it's there. So if it's subject to change, it won't change in here. It will change in the online version. But you can kind of look through and see what we've got. You are going to have several exams, 3 major exams and a final. They're going to be used using Blackboard, again, with Respondus Lockdown browser. There will also be weekly quizzes or quizzes over each chapter. And again, everything has got a due date. I'm going to tell you how the due dates are going to work because there are things that are going to become due on Mondays and Tuesdays, maybe usually Mondays, and Wednesdays are the two main days that I'll have due dates. I may have a Tuesday due date if maybe there's a holiday. In reality, and I'm going to tell you, I will not count something as late if everything that's due that week is completed by the time I start checking on the grades on Thursday morning. Warning, I get up at 5 a.m. and sometimes I may actually start working on schoolwork right when I get up. So in reality, get everything done by Wednesday night. It doesn't matter whether it's due on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Get it done by midnight on Wednesday and you'll be good. And keep in mind, if it's late, it's going to be similar to being absent from class. Okay, you've got a couple major assignments. Don't turn them in late. You will lose a 10% reduction in the assignment if they are late, and you can get a 0 if you have another paper that is late. The major assignments are going to be research papers. Students will be required to complete a research paper. We will go over that more in detail. Actually, the second week is when you're going to watch a video on it and take an exam on the requirements for that, but we'll show you where that is in a minute. Participation discussion, again, we'll go over those when we get to the weekly content. You will be required to participate in each and every one of the discussion boards, and you won't be able to take the exams unless you do, and you will be required to complete at least 3 follow-up posts to the other students' activities, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that subject matter. Guys, don't cheat. Don't turn in a paper that someone else wrote. Don't buy a paper. If you do get caught, you will fail the course. That's all there is. You'll get an F. You will be written up as an academic dishonesty. You don't want to get an academic dishonesty probation on your record, on your transcripts if you want to go in the criminal justice field. It could keep you from getting a job. So it's not worth it. Make sure you don't plagiarize. Make sure you properly cite each source you use. Learn how to paraphrase and you'll be okay. Okay, the grading system. The 3 major exams are all worth 15% of your grade for a total of 45%. The final's worth 20%. The research paper and the presentation, and you must present your paper, are worth 10%. If you don't write a paper or present the paper, or if you don't have a personal interview in the paper, they will not be accepted and you will fail the class. So it's only worth 10% of your grade or 100%. If you don't do it, it's an automatic failure. Each quiz is worth 15%. You should get a full 15% on that because you can retake them as many times as you want. As a matter of fact, in order to go to the next chapter in this online version of the course, you will need to make at least a 70 on each quiz. But you can retake it until you make 100. It will help you study for the exam because some of the quiz questions will be on the exams. And then those discussion boards are worth 10% of your grade. I'll tell you about the grading system on it kind of when we get to the weekly content of the course. Attendance is very important. We are at an accredited school. We do have federal financial aid. Therefore, we have to be attendance taking. And the way we do attendance taking for this particular course, the rest of this is kind of standard information, is we base it upon whether or not you completed all assignments by the time they were due. Come Thursday morning, you had quiz 1 and discussion 1 due that week, and you only did one of the 2 items, you'll be marked late. If you did nothing that was due that week by the deadline, then you're marked absent. 2 lates equal 1 absence. After you have gotten the equivalent of more than 3 absences, so you'll say 6 lates, you do any more than that, then your final semester grade will be reduced by 1 letter grade. That's off your final grade that goes on your transcripts. So it's very important that you get things done on time. But also keep in mind, even if you've got a grade reduction, all assignments must be completed in order to pass the course. Everything, research paper, every quiz, every discussion has to be completed or you fail. You won't be able to take the final exam. You won't be able to take the exams unless you do the required work that is required for that chapter before that exam is given. And then there's a few other things in here about internet policy or requirements, Respondus Lockdown Browser. We've got student code of conduct, academic honesty, withdrawal, and so forth. These are important things for you to read and understand. Please spend some time looking at them. Now we're going to go to the next. We're going to go briefly and talk about we'll skip ahead to the research paper real quick. Again, you'll have to do a research paper. You can jump ahead and go ahead and pick your subject matter. There is a video on the research paper. Very exciting thing. Looks like about 30 minutes worth of video that tells you about the research paper requirements. And there's a quiz that you will have to take before you go to the second chapter of the book. So that's going to be due the second week of the chapter. We're not going to go over that anymore because you will have to work on that again during the second week before you get to chapter 2. Exams. The exams are going to be given, and you'll find them right here. Here's another link to the video on the Respondus Lockdown Browser if you're not familiar with it. In order to take the exams, they have to be taken by these due dates. That is their due date, but they can be taken at any time prior to the due date. Exam 1 will be available to you once you have participated in the discussions for chapters 1 through 4 and made at least a 70 on the quizzes for 1 through 4. You also have to take the introductory quiz, make 100 on that, but you can't get the chapter 1 quiz without doing that. You must complete it by February 5th. Each one has a due date. Each one has some criteria. Again, you can take them and do them anytime in advance of that date. If you want to get everything done by spring break, you can get it all done, except some of the follow-up discussions. You'll have to do that. Also on this tab, the exams aren't going to be visible to you until you've done all the prerequisites that are required for them. Also, each week we're going to do an exam review as our chapter discussions. When you click on this discussion, it will give you, if you can't get them to download on the weekly one, I've got another chance for it. I had some people one semester were having problems downloading them. I think it was operator error, to be honest with you. But I've got them all put in one place so that you can more easily get to them. And then again, you've got to complete this and post it to the discussion boards. Okay, now we'll get to the meat and potatoes of the course, the weekly content. Now, please don't look at the first week and panic. The first week has a lot more material that is due that week than any of the other weeks. As I'm reviewing this one, I haven't updated all of the weekly content in here. I've just got the first week done, so I can get this video because the video blows in the first week, so I'm trying to get it done. But anyway, this first week, you will have a couple of things that will need to be done. First, you've got the introductory material, and that includes watching this video. You have got an APA video and a Navigating Blackboard video that you need to watch. If you've watched them in previous classes, you're good. Then you have an introductory quiz that you have to take and make a 100% on. We've got 2 different discussion boards that you will have to do this week. The first one is an Introduce Yourself, just kind of a real quick thing. Actually, 3 different ones. I've got another little quick one for you, paraphrase. I've got an assignment. There's an article to read. Read the article. Then click on the discussion board to post your response. Just put your name up there. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that article and you're going to put it in your own words. Introduce yourself on the introduction. Just tell us about yourself, your major, your career goals, and just basic information so we get to know each other. Once you have made a 100% on quiz number 1, the introductory quiz, then the chapter 1 video and quiz will be available to you. They're not there yet because they're not available till you've made 100% on there. So if we click on the introductory material one, you'll see all the little videos. Because there was a lot of things, I went ahead and put them into separate folders. There's the research paper presentation that get a link to it if you want to go look at that. The introductory video. There's the Introduce Yourself post and the paraphrase post. There's the news article for you to paraphrase. All you're doing is you're putting it in your own words, just kind of summarizing what it says. Now, if we go back to week 1 folder will look at the chapter 1 material, you will see that there's nothing there other than the objectives and the discussion. Okay. Once you made 100% on that introductory quiz, the video and the quiz will show up here. Now the discussion you'll need to do, and I would encourage you to download it now and have it kind of look at it as you're reading the chapter and as you're watching the video, because you'll get a lot of your answers while you're doing that. You can kind of make notes on it. So here is the, let it upload, come on. It's thinking. There it goes. What you're going to want to do for this is, for each one of these terms, and this is the stuff that's going to be on the exam, is you want to kind of write what you think the exam would be about on this particular subject. You will then cut and paste this directly into your document. So if you've downloaded this to Word, you can highlight it. Then you hit Control A, Control C, and then Control V to put it into your discussion board. The other thing you have for the discussion board, it is 2 parts. The first thing you want to do is tell the class what you thought was most interesting about the chapter. And was it something that was completely new to you, or something that you just found interesting? Let me get myself out of the way so you can actually read what's there. I kind of added this after one of my final discussions. I have students tell me what they would like to see change. One student says that he'd like a little bit something kind of added to the discussion boards. I had a lot of people that don't like doing the follow-ups, but in order to keep accreditation, we've got to show that students interacted with each other, and this is the way we do it. So yes, I understand that you don't like doing it, but unfortunately, if we're not accredited, we don't do you any good. So we have to do things that are for accreditation. And the follow-ups cannot be generic things. What I get is, great job, thanks for including page numbers. Oh, I like the way you used the colors. Little things like that. This is going to help me with the exam. And when I'm doing the grading, I don't look at each of your separate posts. I get a list of all your posts, and it's amazing how many people use the same thing for all their follow-ups. I don't know whether they're reading it. What I want you to do is read what answer that they've got and tell me how it's different from one of yours. With enough students in here, not everybody's going to have the same answer as you. That's just not going to happen. Some people are not going to have an answer. You can say, hey, you didn't answer this one. Here's what I got. But more important, I want you to look at what you got and how it's different from theirs, because their answer may be what's on the exam and not yours. And what you can do is you can take their answer and add it to your notes, because you can use your notes on the exam. So, and you can use them to study. So that's the reason for this. So you're going to have to do this. And again, whether you like it or not, it's kind of part of the course. I hope it helps you, and I know for some people it does. Okay, the way the grading goes, if you do a complete job and you answer all of the discussion questions, get every term or get most of them, like 90% or above, you'll get at 70 points towards your discussion grade. And for each of your follow-up posts that have substance to them, you'll get 10 points. So if you get 70 points plus 3 discussions for 10 points, you get 100% on the discussion board. And remember, it's worth 10% of your final grade. So that's the way the discussion board works. Again, we're going to have 3 exams. We'll talk about them more as the semester goes on. Right, the week before, I'll talk about how they're set up and so forth. And each week, there will be a weekly update video that you will find on the weekly topic that will tell you what's due that week, what happened last week, and so forth. Be sure to look at those because there's very important information. Be sure to watch all the chapter videos all the way to the end, because there will be, and at least one of them, there's going to be a clue to the extra credit. You get 5 extra credit points on the exam, but you got to watch the video to find it, because you won't know what it is unless you do. Well, that's kind of all I've got for you for the introductory video. I know this is a busy week as far as getting things started. I promise you, when you've only got 1 chapter to do, that things will kind of slow down. And again, you can work ahead, just don't work behind. We'll talk to you again soon.